Hello everyone and welcome to this amazing VFR journey. In this series, we're flying all the way from Alaska to Patagonia. It's 17 legs in total. Some are quite long, like this first leg from Juneau to Bella Coola in Canada. Okay, so we are currently parked at Juneau International in Alaska, and for this first leg, I'm going to be using the Piper Aerostar 600. I'm sure that we will find a lot of beautiful scenery throughout the flight. This one is going to be a little bit of a long flight, but I tried to reduce the time throughout the video, so let me get right into it and start the flight. Let's do the pre-start checklist.
Okay, Captain, opening the pre-start checklist. Parking brakes. Z. Battery. On. Beacon lights. On. Master test.
I'm struggling to click on this.
Direct. Left fuel valve selector. On. Left fuel valve selector crossfeed indicator. Direct. Right fuel valve selector. On. Right fuel valve selector crossfeed indicator. Direct. Avionics master switch. On. Checklist complete.
Okay, first checklist done. Let's continue with the next checklist. Open the engine start checklist.
Okay, Captain, opening the engine start checklist. Propeller levels. Set to full. Left engine mixture. Set to half. Left engine throttle. Open a 1/4 inch. Left fuel pump. On. Left engine mixture. Full for 5 seconds, then halved. Left fuel pump. Off. Left engine ignition. Set to start. Left engine running. Direct. Left alternator. On. Left alternator annunciator. Off. Right engine mixture. Set to half. Right engine throttle. Open a 1/4 inch. Right fuel pump. On. Right engine mixture. Full for 5 seconds, then halved. Right fuel pump. Off. Right engine ignition. Set to start. Right engine running. Direct. Right alternator. On. Right alternator annunciator. Off. Checklist complete.
Great! Now that the engines are running, I will jump into setting up my flight plan for this flight into the Garmin. I'm not going to be following the flight plan quite strictly, especially after takeoff and before landing, because I have checked the charts and the terrain through SkyVector. I know what geography I'm going to be following in order to avoid mountains and to have the most scenic view possible. So in order to get to Bella Coola, we're going to be flying first over Level Island, then over Annette Island, and finally over the Bella Bella Airport just before being directed to Bella Coola in Canada. Well, I almost forgot to get the weather information. How's the current weather?
Wind 100 at 6, clear 12 degrees, altimeter 2975.
There we go, weather briefed. We're almost ready to roll out. Let's continue with the next checklist, please.
OK, Captain, opening the pre-flight checklist. Avionics systems. Loaded. Flight plan. Loaded. Weather. Direct. Strobe lights. On. Navigation lights. On. Checklist complete.
It seems we are ready to go. Let's make up our mind for a quite long flight, but I'm sure that we're going to be enjoying the scenery. Okay, so let's get the preparations for taxi. Let's do the taxi checklist.
OK, Captain, opening the taxi checklist. Taxi clearance. Obtained. Right landing light. On. Brakes. Direct. Checklist complete.
Okay, off to taxi we go. Well, it seems that we might encounter some weather challenges throughout our way. I'm not flying with ATC, so eventually what I'm going to do is to adjust the route a little bit, or the altitude as well. I will not be requesting IFR or declaring IMC. Just for you to know, I use the weather input with active sky, real weather input. Sometimes it actually surprises you throughout the route. So let's see what happens. Let's keep taxiing to the runway. Actually, let's do our takeoff preparations here. Before takeoff checklist, please.
OK, Captain, opening the before takeoff checklist. Parking brakes. Z. Right engine throttle. Set 1,600 RPM. Right engine magnetos test. Drag. Right engine throttle. Back to 1,000 RPM. Left engine throttle. Set 1,600 RPM. Left engine magnetos test. Drag. Left engine throttle. Back to 1,000 RPM. Both engines throttle. Set 1,600 RPM. Propellers. Down to idle and back to full 3 times. Auxiliary hydraulic pump. On. Flaps. Set for takeoff. Trim. Set for takeoff. Fuel pumps left and right. On. Landing lights. On. Checklist complete.
Everything seems to be working as expected. Let's continue our taxi to the runway and see how we do.
Departure confirmed from Juneau Intel.
After takeoff checklist, please.
OK, Captain, opening the after takeoff checklist. Landing gear. Flaps. Auxiliary hydraulic pump. Of. Fuel pumps left and right. Of. Checklist complete.
So yes, as expected, we are having a little bit of clouds in here. As I told you, I will not follow the flight plan directly. I know that I need to follow the river to the right and eventually turn to the left throughout a valley that is in there so that I avoid the mountains. Let's begin enjoying the scenery.
Juneau Class Delta ahead about 2 miles, bearing 101. 2,000 feet to 2,500 feet. Confirm the chart before entering.
Okay, so Class Delta ahead, not getting to be worried about airspaces. However, that's a Delta airspace, so yeah, no worries at all. So this is the valley I told you about, and as it is cloudy and visibility is not the best, I will try to stick to my initial plan as much as I can to avoid any potential surprises. Please note for sure that I am not a real pilot, or else you could be worried about me losing my license. Climb checklist, please.
OK, Captain, opening the climb checklist. Landing lights. Of. Throttle. Set to 2,300 RPM. Propellers. Set 2,500 RPM. Mixture. As required. Checklist complete. Juneau-class Delta ahead about 1 miles, bearing 049er. Surface to 2,500 feet. Confirm the chart before entering. We are about 0.5 nautical miles from Eagle Crest Ski Area. Eagle Crest Ski Area is a public ski area on Douglas Island in the U.S.
If you ask me why I enjoy flying VFR so much, especially when modern systems can take you almost anywhere with very little effort, for me, VFR flying is about being truly connected to the aircraft and to the environment around you. Instead of simply following a line, you're constantly reading the terrain, enjoying landmarks, monitoring the weather, making navigation decisions. I also love the freedom that comes with general aviation. You can fly lower, appreciate incredible landscapes, discover small airports you never knew existed, and take routes that simply wouldn't make sense in an airliner. Every valley, every river, every mountain range becomes part of the journey. Let's look at this incredible view we have here. I really love Alaska's geography. This is exactly why I enjoy flying through places like Alaska. There isn't much to distract you besides nature itself. You have rivers guiding your route, snow-covered mountains all around you, and landscapes that seem to go on forever. It's hard not to spend more time looking outside than looking inside the cockpit. Moments like these remind me that general aviation isn't always about getting somewhere quickly. Sometimes it's simply about enjoying the privilege of flying through places that very few people ever get to experience from this perspective. A curious fact is that even if Alaska is the largest state in the US, yet most of it remains completely untouched. Many of the rivers, valleys, and mountain ranges you're seeing below are accessible only by air or by boat, which is one of the reasons why aviation plays such an important role in everyday life here. Also, did some research on this geography, and one thing you'll notice about many rivers in Alaska is their unusual color. During the warmer months, glaciers release fine rock particles into the water, creating this beautiful milky blue appearance that's often called glacial flower. This is what I mentioned about the weather surprises before. I lost complete visibility in just a couple of seconds. So let's try and check the weather and try to avoid it. Give me the weather update, please.
Wind 217 at 2, light rain 7 degrees, altimeter 2977.
Okay, so I'll try to climb higher to avoid this weather. Remember, this is not a real aviation procedure, but I'm sure that I do not have any mountains or things like that in my route. I'm also not flying with traffic, so I can safely do this. And there we go. After some minutes of climb, being completely blind without visibility, we are out of the cloud layer, still some clouds below. Normally, you would keep at least 1,000 feet between you and the cloud layer if I'm not wrong. I'm not doing that right now, but let's keep enjoying this flight.
Wind 130 at 2, light rain 9 degrees, altimeter 2975.
Well, surprised by the weather again. After climbing to avoid the previous weather, once the cloud layers disappeared, I decided to descend a little bit to enjoy the scenery, but suddenly it became bad again. Let's try to avoid this weather a little bit, but I want to stay low at Okay, so I have just flown over Bella Airport, which was the last waypoint before directing myself to Bella Coola. I'm not going to be flying a straight line as I want to do a scenic approach, so let's get ready to enjoy this approach through the river and between the mountains. What's the destination field elevation?
Bella Coola sits at 117 feet.
I was wondering whether to speed up the descent and the approach, but I'm not going to do so. I really enjoyed flying this and just wanted to share as it is. Weather update, please.
Wind 163 at 11, clear 0 degrees, altimeter 2979er.
Let's do the descent checklist.
Okay, Captain, opening the descent checklist. Weather. Direct. Arrival procedure. Direct. Mixture. As required. Checklist complete.
I found out that following the river would eventually lead me straight into the airport, so I'm going to try and see if I can do a straight-in approach. I am not familiar with the area, so this is going to be a shoot and miss potentially, but I will try to do so and hope that you are enjoying the scenery as much as I do. Bear with me, this is the longest part of the video, but I'm sure it's totally worth it. I did my research, and Bella Coola is a small community on the central coast of British Columbia. Even today, reaching it isn't as straightforward as many other places in Canada. Because of its remote location and surrounding mountains, aviation continues to play an important role for both residents and visitors. As we get closer to Bella Coola, you'll notice that this airport sits right in the middle of a narrow valley, surrounded by mountains on almost every side. It's the kind of airport where the scenery is absolutely stunning, but it also demands a little more planning during the arrival. Okay, almost there, and I hope that visibility is not going to be a concern for my straight-in approach.
Approach setup for Bella Coola, you are about 20 nautical miles out. If tower does not assign one. Runway 05 looks most favorable from winds 100 at 6 knots. Pattern altitude is about 1,117 feet mean sea level. Pattern call for Bella Coola, you are about 10 nautical miles out. Plan to join a right downwind for runway 05 at 1,117 feet mean sea level, unless ATC or the chart requires something different.
Open the before landing checklist.
Okay, Captain, opening the before landing checklist. Landing lights. On. Auxiliary hydraulic pump. On. Fuel pumps left and right. On. Landing gear. Down. Flaps.
Oh well, what a beautiful place to fly. I'm feeling confident that I'm going to make the straight-in approach. Hopefully, it's going to be a good enough landing.
Full. Propellers. Full RPM. Checklist complete. That was a very tidy touchdown at Bella Coola, about 47 feet per minute. Let's stay relaxed, clear the runway and taxi in.
I am quite happy with that landing. Let me know, guys, if you enjoyed the journey. Of course, this is just a small view of the whole experience, but I tried to capture the most relevant parts. Next checklist, please.
Okay, Captain, opening the after landing checklist. Throttle. Set to 1000 RPM. Mixture. Set to half. Flaps. Up. Auxiliary hydraulic pump. Off. Fuel pumps left and right. Of. Left landing light. Of. Checklist complete.
Open the shutdown checklist.
Okay, Captain, opening the shutdown checklist. Right landing light. Of navigation lights. Of strobe lights. Of parking brakes. Z. Throttle. Back to idle. Mixture. Of ignition switches left and right. We are parked at Bella Coola with the engines shut down. This flight looks ready to be logged whenever you are. Ground crew is on station. We can secure the aircraft. Of fuel selector valves left and right. Of avionics switches. Of beacon light. Of alternators left and right. Of battery. Of checklist complete.
Oh wow, I enjoyed this flight so much. What a beautiful place. Just wondering how it would feel to live in here, surrounded by nature and so far from civilization. But well, let me complete my flight so that we can see the next flight of this series.
We are parked at Bella Coola with the engines shut down. This flight looks ready to be logged whenever you are.
Okay, so our next flight is going to be to Spokane in the US, and for this one I'm planning to challenge myself to try to see if a Cessna 172 can cover that distance. Also, I'll try to do VOR navigation all the way without GPS. Let's see what happens. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next flight of this amazing series from Alaska to Patagonia, 17 VFR flights. See you in the next one.